Right, this is the Super Morning Show on Joy 99.7 FM, and seated with me in studio is Dr. Kabiru Mahama, who is Economic Advisor to the Vice President, Edudzi Tamakloe is Director of Legal of the NDC. I mean, I know you two would love to talk about the 24-hour economy thing, but before I get into that, I'll start off with you, Dr. Kabiru Mahama. The Vice President, when he was speaking his form, when he was addressing, NPP delegates, indicated that he had his own vision, he had his own plan. On a thank you tour, he's talking about, a lot of things. Ghanaians are saying, isn't it time for us to probably, for you political parties to start sharing your plans with us? Instead of mounting the campaign platforms, telling us things you want to do, and then when you are questioned after you come into office, you say, I didn't say that. What's causing the delay?
So thank you very much, and good morning to your cherished listeners and to my colleague, Council Edudzi. I understand the sentiments of Ghanaians because the drift towards issue-based politics, the transition towards issue or policy-driven politicking is the basis for that call. And when they call for these documents to be presented, I can but just to acknowledge that it's a very good call. That said, such a document becomes a binding contract between you and the people of Ghana. You must get the fine nitty-gritties of it right. And you may be presenting the benchmarks, the pillars of that vision or that policy you want to have, but to present such a detail, you need a very broad consultation. And for us, the Vice President had given some bits and pieces of it. Leveraging on Internet of Things to drive the development of the country, making sure that the health sector is more robust and strengthened. The Vice President mentioned about taking education, STEM education to the next level. All these were bits and pieces, but Ghanaians admittedly will not have a firm hold of these promises if there is no document before them.
Exactly.
Before them to assess that document. Accessing that document and assessing it is the only way we can have a very fine and intelligent conversation around this topic. But that said, you would also understand that the processes takes time. They need to do further consultation. He was their candidate, but now he has to take the inputs of other members of the party who are supposed to help him pursue this goal. I've had discussion with the Vice President, and he mentioned about the fact that he wants to fine-tune this vision is have into a very comprehensive manifesto and to bring it and present it formally to the Ghanaian people.
When is he going to finish the fine-tuning?
Those timelines, I will defer them to him because he's the man on the horse. He's the one on the saddle now. But I am sure that within the early part of 2024, we would present this document. It is also
early part of 2024. Early meaning the first quarter?
That is, there's a rational expectation that in the first quarter. In fact, the Vice President is in a hurry, and he has always been in a hurry because sometimes he wants to present because he wants to set the narrative like, look, I have come to this space to, drive politics in Ghana based on issues. I have heralded some cut-edging kind of intervention that the people never knew. I have brought to full the discussion on issues of the economy, issue of transformative agenda that can transform the life of Ghanaians. I have done that. Now I am now going to be the one on the ballot. I will need to show something different. I will need to either uphold the standards. The expectation of the Ghanaian people is that I don't need to lower the standard. Now going back to the pedestrian politics of insult, Ghanaians are tired of that. So he wants to come up with a very cogent, very coherent policy document to present to the Ghanaian people. And I think that let's beat the Vice President and his team or our team some time. I'm sure that you would have this document and we will discuss it. We'll be very much happy to come back here to discuss such a document. But admittedly, Ghanaians, the lack of patience for such a document is a very well placed one, and we will be looking forward to presenting that to you next year. And when that is done, we'll have discussion on the practicality, how feasible those policies as presented in that document are or otherwise.
So when you say you would have to fine-tune, do I get the impression that you're currently discussing with your party? Do you have a committee already in place that is fine-tuning it?
What I know for sure is that the vice president is putting together a team, and I am privy to some members of this team working on this document. And not even before he was elected as the flag bearer, before he was even elected as the flag bearer, he had cause to look at what the MPP, whether or not he wins, what the MPP message will have to be. Okay, so he was even forthright with his thoughts that, look, whether or not I win this election, the MPP will have to have a message. We'll have to assess our current manifesto and see what we've been able to achieve, and see what we are supposed to build on, and what are the new things we'll have to bring to change the fortune of Ghana. So that committee, in fact, as said, I was asked to serve in that committee.
Okay.
That was even before.
So you are still part of the committee?
That was even before the election.
And you are still part of the committee?
We've had elections. The vice president hasn't affirmed my membership or not in that current committee.
Okay.
So, but I'm saying that I'm privy to that discussion going on, and that discussion, when concluded, we would have the document presented to you.
When we return after these messages, I'll ask you the same question. Edudzi, okay, so I'm told that we should come to you first before we go for the break. Yeah. Edudzi, why the delay? We want to be reading these things, interrogating them, critiquing them, and having a fruitful conversation. Now all we hear is you people talking on platforms. You say it, hey, and that's it. No details.
So I think the call to have our manifestos ready is a call in the right direction. I make this point because I strongly believe that what is written is written. And once you put the conversation in writing, it creates an impression of believability.
Sure.
It creates an impression that you want to be one who will be reliable. When you just speak and you don't put on paper, people think that tomorrow this person will just come and say something else. And that's why even in the popular Ghanaian parlance, you hear words like fili fili. I want to see it. And when I see it, I can interrogate it. I'm sure that your call today is based on hindsight. Look, if we had had the benefit of a policy document from the MPP on even free SHS in opposition, I'm sure we would not have been so surprised with double track. But because in 2016, you, the media, you never asked Akufo-Addo, let's see your policy document on free SHS so that we can interrogate it beyond, I will do free SHS, I will do free SHS. And today, we've all been caught and we don't know what to do. And so Akufo-Addo presents something shambolic and we're having to consume it. So the call to have a proper document where we can interrogate even the numbers is a call in the right direction. And we welcome it. As I speak to you, I've been attending a couple of meetings. And usually I go for the governance ones. The governance one, rule of law and the rest, because of the nature of my expertise. And so we are working at the speed of light to put something together, to present to Ghanaians, to interrogate. And you notice that in the Building Ghana tour undertaken by H.E. John Mahama, you notice that unlike the usual rallies, this one is clustered. You meet groups, teachers, teacher trainees. You want to hear from them and present specific manifestos. So at the point of even micro messaging, so that it is not one size fits all kind of conversation.
In making that point, for instance, I have also been monitoring the Building Ghana tour.
Fantastic.
I've heard talks about a cancellation of teacher licensure exam. Then I see some of your members saying a cancellation of teacher licensure exam does not mean non-licensing of teachers.
Fantastic.
What's the policy, for instance?
Okay.
We should be having this conversation.
So for instance, and I'm happy you brought this up. I'm a lawyer. I did 2 years LLB from the law faculty.
Yeah.
Transitioned to the Ghana School of Law. Did 2 years. When I finished, I was not asked to undertake another exam. but I'm a licensed lawyer. So what do?
You wrote your part 1 and part 2.
That's all.
Okay. Yes.
And you are gone. 4 years at the teacher training college, you do 48 courses. 48. Now, by the time you are done, we are saying incorporate all this licensing, pre-qualification, qualification assurances as part of the training. So that the person doesn't finish, then you say, now come and sit somewhere and do another licensure exam. That is what we are saying. We are saying that the course has practicals. Look, where I grew up, Dambai, Nkwanta, and the rest. Usually the teacher training, they'll tell you they are going to do practicals. They'll go and do sometimes 6 months out there doing their practicals. Before, those days they call it set A. They'll get their set A. Nobody at the end of the day will say, come and sit for an additional layer of examination before you get your set A. And so they used to call it teacher certificate A. That was what used to pertain. And we are saying that, look, I have been a student of the GSS primary school level and SS before it was turned into SHS. The people who taught us in the primary schools were set A teachers. They produce us.
Okay. Before you continue, still on this one, and the reason I'm doing this is just to let you know the need for. So, there are others who also do not have, who have not been to the colleges of education. They want to get into teaching. What happens to those people, for instance?
No, so you see, one of the things that we are even saying is that there are certain entry barriers. One of the barriers to entry has been the issue about these teacher trainee compensation allowances. Now, in the past, not many people were going to the teacher training colleges. So it was easier for you to budget by way of allowances for them. Do you know that now the allowances have become an entry barrier?
How?
Because at the beginning of the year, government will now have to sit down and say, Atebubu, teacher training college, you can't take beyond 200 people. Because it's only 200 that we can give them allowance. So don't take beyond 200. Take only 200. So whether they get admission application of 1,000, they'll take 200 because that is what government can afford by way of my brother Winston. If I should ask you to take a policy decision, where today we have gotten a situation where about 10,000 people, the last time I read online, 10,000 teachers have had to, the boys now use the word japa, they have had to move outside the country, right? So a time will come that we may be suffering the issue of lack of teachers in this country. So we need more teachers. But the issue of allowance has become an entry barrier. What do we do as a people?
Yeah, but my question
Listen, no. I beg you. We are having a conversation.
Yeah.
What do you think we should do?
Tell me, what should we do?
No, keep the allowances, reduce the intake, provide a quota system. Is that what this country needs? Or give that student the opportunity to say that even if it's about 1,000 students, admit them. The student has the benefit of applying because now it's like degree awarding institution more or less. So you have the benefit just as any student in UPSA, any student at the University of Ghana. And my brother, when the two of us are products of our universities, right? When we went to the university, we had the opportunity of applying for student loan, correct? So you go and apply for it. I did at the University of Ghana. I did that. So, and at the University of Ghana, they give you, once you qualify, they'll admit you. But the colleges of education today cannot admit the number of students required.
Okay, please hold on
because of the entry barrier.
Hold on for me. And you've made
so we need to have a dispassionate national conversation on this issue.
Stemming from your policies that you put before
and
us.
we are going to do that. I do not want to, as it were, take the wind out of the sail of John Maham, but there are going to be specific conversations, and we will take those decisions for the interest of this country.
Stay with me because this morning you just heard from Edudzi Tamakloe. You've also heard from Dr. Kabiru Mahama. Edudzi Tamakloe, who is the Director of Legal of the NDC, and Dr. Kabiru Mahama, who's economic advisor to the Vice President, Dr. Maham. We're having a conversation about, policies and programs of the two main political parties because their candidates are on the platform. I mean, they're campaigning. One is thanking Ghanaians, another one says, I am on a Building Ghana tour. But wherever they find themselves, they're talking about what to expect, what they will do. The question is, what are the policies underpinning all these things they say they will do? But I'm sure you are also interested in a 24-hour economy. Stay with us. After these messages, we delve into them.
Your morning radio.
So we're talking politics now, and you've already heard, my two guests tell us about, what is causing the delay. Fine-tuning. Well, we'll see. At least we know that by end of first quarter next year, we'll have that of Dr. Maham. How about you, Edudzi?
It may be much earlier.
Much earlier?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's get back to what has generated a lot of controversy, a lot of conversation now. A 24-hour economy. You've been trying to explain that of the teacher licensure exam and everything. What's the idea? What's that policy behind the 24-hour economy?
Thank you so much. The cocktail of the Akufo-Addo Bawumia incompetence has resulted in an economy that is so broken that today, if you look at the 2024 budget as read, the economy is basically bankrupt. From last year, we have effectively defaulted on our external loan repayment. We have never gone through this before. Now, with the level at which the economy had deteriorated, you need to think outside the box. And I've always said, if you cannot originate, at least copy. Now, if you look at the global conversation today, the most trendy topic, among others, is the issue of 24-hour economy. Now, when you look at the literature, the economic literature of it, from other well-respected economists, the UK, the part of US, Australia, and many other places, the conversation is centered on how to activate this whole 24-hour economy. And some of the data that I've seen, if you look at the job breakdown, you will see that this is certainly going to be helpful. Now, per hour estimation, if you look at the fact that we work from 8 a.m., close at 5 p.m. in most places. But we have always looked at a station like, say, Joy FM, right? Joy FM doesn't close. I'm an ardent listener. They don't close. They run 24 hours. Why is it that Joy FM does not close, but the passport office closes at 5 p.m.? How come that by my biometrics cannot be harvested after 5 p.m.?
Their services may not be needed at that time.
Whose service?
People may not need the service of the passport office.
You mean if after your late evening news program, right, and you have to go to passport office to go and harvest your biometrics, you will not be happy? You will. You are having to adjust your life now to fit the narrative because that is what it is. But if the opportunity exists that tomorrow you can go and take your pictures, you can go and harvest your biometrics, and it is possible, you can adjust your life to cater for it. You cannot tell me that today at the port, the main manual works that you need to clear your item by 5 p.m. is gone. You cannot tell me if the opportunity exists by a deliberate, intentional policy of government, you will not take advantage of it. You cannot tell me that if you go to DVLA and the long queues for services that you can get at the same time in the night, you will not take advantage of it. And so when we looked at the numbers from elsewhere and done all the modelings, we have realized that, look, it is so doable in Ghana. It is so doable to the extent that if today I offer a manufacturing company the opportunity, right, that when you produce more, even in the night, you have a special tariff arrangement, we are confident that a lot of manufacturing companies will sign on. I'll give you one. Look, as we speak, in the 2024 budget, government of Ghana says we are taking the some of the taxes off sanitary part, right? And we want to encourage local production. Correct?
Sure.
Good. Now, if you have such an arrangement where you are encouraging, what is going to happen is that there may be increased demand, but getting the items here will be problematic. So you want to rely on Ghanaian companies producing. If the company knows that I'll need more factory hands at night, I will need more persons to do this, and by so doing, I'll have a unique tariff arrangement people will sign on to. And like I said, the greatest endorsement we have gotten for this policy proposal came from the Trade Union Congress. I listened to Comrade Dr. Yaba, where he made the point that this particular 24-hour economy policy proposal for him is a game changer, and that it is going to, as it were, result beyond job creation but increase productivity. And I consider that to be a profound endorsement, and I thank the TUC for it. I've also heard other organized labor groups say that this is going to be so timely, it's going to be a game changer. Look, I have some statistics. Let me just share with you. In the UK, when I was coming, I had to screenshot it. And this about 20, they named it Jobs in London Nighttime Economy. They call it Nighttime Economy. They say agric forestry, 600 people by way of jobs. Mining and quarry, 250. Manufacturing, 19,000. Electricity, gas, water supply, sewage and waste, 1,100 and so and so. Construction, 23,000. Overall, I can give it to you later. Overall, they are, expecting that the nighttime economy will generate 723,000 jobs. 723,000 jobs. So there is a model, and we have assembled a team, and that team is looking at all the scenarios.
Has the team finished its work?
In fact, they have given a baseline conversation, and that is why John Maham is speaking to. And that baseline conversation is that if you provide the needed incentive,
you know the kind of incentives that you'll be providing.
Yeah, for instance, like I gave you the issue of tariff.
Okay.
It can be worked on.
What about tariffs?
You give industry special metering, and so as to encourage more production in the night, which is doable.
You give them reduced tariffs?
Yes, special.
You know the margins of reduction you want to.
I don't want to call it reduce. I want to say a special tariff arrangement.
You know how much that special tariff is going to cost us?
Obviously, those numbers will come up, and I'm even saying that even with the numbers game, right? Our friends have been telling us that we have excess capacity, right? They say we have power that we don't need. Is that not what they have been saying? So if we have power that we don't need, then we want to deploy it into the productive sector. Why should anybody oppose such a thing?
The incentives, are they only limited to these special tariffs, or there are other incentives?
Tax. Because you see, we believe that if a university graduate is at home, right, and you're having to absorb the person to work for you, right, that alone should qualify you for certain tax rebates. And we have looked at it, and it's doable.
Okay. I know that, you've made reference to the UK example. 1 minute, the UK example, for instance, they've done their own. They said
the numbers.
The numbers between 15 to 26 billion pounds. I know you make reference to it.
Yes.
What about yours? How much is it going to how much would that contribute to the economy?
That one thing is clear, which is not in doubt, that is going to increase productivity.
You know how much that would be?
It's going to result in massive employment. Now, what we have decided to do in terms of modeling is to look to aggregate the courts, and that is why I'm saying that we are going to actually generate a policy document.
So you're not done yet?
Yes, absolutely, and that is why I said at the baseline, it provides GM the talking baseline for a conversation, and that's what we have now.
Let me
yes.
Dr. Mahama.
Before I even go on, you see, I give this example always. In Ghana today, or even in the city of Accra, we have over 1,000, if I'm not mistaken, fuel stations. Where you live, I know where you live, and you know my place. Which fuel station operates after 9 p.m. on that whole stretch?
I think by 10 p.m. they are done. They're closed.
I mean, why should it be? Remember that we are on a major road. Why should it be so?
Hold on for me. Dr. Kabiru Mahama, your party talked about, people have talked about the challenges. In another instance, you've talked about things happening already. What's your view on this? What's the concern with this?
Yeah, so I want to start with the first discussion that we are on a Building Ghana tour. The NDC is on a Building Ghana tour, and when you are on a Building Ghana tour, you have to be circumspect of the kind of promises you make, such that such promises are contributing to your intention, vision to build Ghana. And I feel like the basis for the cancellation of land share exams was not born out of that particular vision of building Ghana, because this process started even way before MPP came to office, 2016, 2017, when they started the teacher lunches process. What is wrong with the current system? We've not been given the diagnosis of it, whether because students are saying they don't want to write the exams, or there's something fundamental wrong with the system. That, I think, should have been the basis for the questioning, cancellation, or retaining or retention of it. But that has not been done. It's just like a political promise thrown out at students in the chair to read, because every student doesn't like writing exams. That is the established fact. Even adults, okay, we don't like writing exams. But as to whether or not it is necessary to assessing the competence and teaching, in fact, with this particular policy, our teachers can now go to the UK and teach without requirement of writing any other top-up program. It's not something that in the community of nations that we need to integrate, that we can go to UK, Canada, our teachers become the employment opportunities of our teachers are increased because of this policy. So I think that when you want to build a country, you are promising building Ghana, you must also be mindful of the things you throw out, so that people would have faith, because we are building systems and we must do that. On the issue of 24-hour economy, you see, a policy document, as you said, would have helped all of us. Because if I say I want to turn Ghana to America, okay, as a policy, it's too broad. Someone will say, how can you? It's not possible. You are lying. You cannot make Ghana America within 4 years. That will be the general posturing of everyone listening to that promise. But now when you come to the details and tell me that, by that, I'm telling that I want to digitize our court system so that every court will run 24 hours. By that, I'm making reference to the fact that our health system should be telemedicine. Okay, you are now coming to the specifics, and the specifics will then form the basis for the interrogation of whether the smartness of your policy. In other words, when I look at the specifics, it is only on the back of the specific that I can assess genuinely whether or not what you are promising is doable or just.
Winston, have you seen a policy document?
I'll give you a chance.
There's a policy document on free senior school. If you've not seen it, there is. But let me make the point.
Hold on.
If you are saying that there wasn't a policy document as at the time Nana Akufo-Addo mentioned it.
That is it. That's the point I'm making.
Can I make this point?
Okay.
Did you let him
You have uninterrupted submission. I had issues, but I didn't. So when you don't give the details and you just push it out there, and people begin to ask questions, you then come with explanation. We raise another issue, you don't come with explanation. It's basically trying to say that I want to test the waters and see how Ghanaians will take it. Now, on the more substantive issue of 24 hours, no doubt that when you are running an economy where almost every sector of the economy is operating to its full capacity, productivity is going to increase, jobs will be created, your economy is going to grow. These are established facts. And no one would argue with that this is the ideal situation. The question then is, productivity is not just a factor of the time of work. It's a factor of efficiency. That is one thing we must understand, that it is not by the fact that you make DVLA work from morning to the following day that productivity is going to increase. Some work, you could do it within 1 hour. You don't need 10 hours to do the work. And I think that saving time, in fact, they say time is money, and that countries are looking at how best they can save time. It is only when the workload is so, burdensome, or is so huge that you think that within the time space I have, I need to increase the time. But if I can do some work efficiently and effectively in 1 hour, why do I need 10 hours to do it? These are the questions we should be asking ourselves, that DVLA working, we need to make sure that they work efficiently.
You're talking about the manufacturing sector.
I'll come to that. Okay. He used DVLA at the port. He used as an example. The port is already doing 24 hours. MPS is doing 200% container services, and they are doing 24 hours. Why? Because at each point in time, we have containers coming on shore, and they have to be worked on and cleared. Okay? It's not the case that containers are brought at a point in time and there's some kind of a free period that you think that there's no work. But because it's a continuous process, that MPS has devised a way of working 24 hours without even government asking them to work. Okay, so that's already happening. We come to ECG. They say, smart metering system. And yesterday I was on the show, and Dinapo mentioned, he mentioned specifically that they want to introduce smart meters. I questioned that they were already smart meters. Then he said they want to have time of use tariff system, which he explained today. Also, that by that they want to make sure that they plan, and that plan is about load management and making sure that at each point in time the day is segregated or cut into stages where companies are going to be billed depending on the time off peak and on peak periods. That is going to help by way of what? Giving respite to businesses which are operating at off peak periods. Okay, and making load available so that there will be some kind of carrying capacity of the grid will be enhanced. That is a good thing, but that is not going to be solved because we already have plans. It's a matter of configuring the smart meters to solve that problem. It doesn't take any rocket science. Okay, now on the manufacturing sector, I agree that government is not the leader of the manufacturing drive. Government only provides the infrastructure for manufacturing to go on. And there are companies, hundreds of companies in the country who are already doing that. And if you look at the support system they are saying they want to give, they are already happening. So if things are, for instance, tax incentives, people who employ some graduates at the particular, they have some incentives in the country, you are coming to do that. It's already happening. Is it just because the government did not need him in 24-hour economy? So these are the questions that we ask. To sell this program as a unique thing or as something that is already going to be totally different, you must tell us what is not happening that you think you have to do, or what is happening that you think that you want to entrench it. But coming from a government that has always been against, or that has always accused the MPP of sloganeering, that they do slogans, the MPP is good at doing slogans, and presenting such a policy, the questions I will ask is, how different? We've not been able to get firm hold of the difference this program was going to make, in terms of the measures they want to put, which are not already happening.
Hold on 1 minute for me.
So maybe Winston, I beg you, a quick intervention. So at least let on this table agree that is a doable thing, and that it is not a bad idea. Correct?
So this
no,
is
correct.
No. This is what I think. I think that 24-hour economy
is doable and a good idea.
That's what I'm saying. There's no economy in the whole world that operates fully 24-hour economy. Okay, there's no economy. people make the only country that even have a policy on 24-hour economy is not even a country, the city of Sydney in Australia. Okay, then the city of New York, they say a city that doesn't sleep is the night economy.
So that night economy,
that night
is doable.
Is it doable?
No, let me even. That's what they have different interviews. Yesterday, I said the night economy is what they are referring to. 24-hour economy, and Jinapo told me yesterday that it is not true. Just yesterday on this same program hosted by my good brother, and I said that look, night economy is part of the 24-hour economy. That is what it is.
You know, in the law of evidence, Kabiru will be called an evasive witness.
I'm making a point.
Is it doable?
I'm coming to the practical nature of that. That's what I'm coming to explain.
Do that in a minute for me.
I'm saying that the night economy is a doable thing. Okay, 24-hour economy on certain sectors is a doable thing, and it's already happening. Okay, as to what they will add to it is also doable.
Okay.
I don't know as to what they will add to what is already existing is also doable.
Okay.
But if you don't give us the firm handle of the parameters, and you are just using 24-hour economy, we are making Ghana a 24-hour economy. I'll tell you at the end of the day, you cannot make education sector 24-hour economy in your 4 years, because nowhere in the country, I mean in the whole world, that students would attend classes all the time of the night. Okay, so that's the reason when we ask for the details. Health sector is already 24-hour economy in Ghana. Okay, we have certain critical services, police service 24-hour economy. I mean fire service 24, military 24. Okay, the security sector is 24-hour economy. They are running. Okay, so certain public services are already happening. So the argument is not that the policy as 24-hour economy in the theory is not good. That is not our argument. It is a very good thing. Our argument is that what is going to be different from what is already happening.
Okay.
Said that you want to claim that it is something of a game changer that has not already happened. That's the argument we are making.
You see, and I'm at least there's a certain consensus in terms of conversation this morning that it is a doable thing, right? 2, that it is not a bad idea. These 2 for me are my take home. Now, in terms of the specifics, if you listen to the TUC boss, he even said, HA, in the coming days, we will meet with you. We will sit down. We will fine-tune the numbers. And we'll make sure this thing happens. We in the NDC, we don't behave like Kwekwa Nancy. I know it all. We believe in the broader question of consultation. We'll consult more. We'll bring expertise on board. We'll look at best practices. We'll look at what has happened, what failed, and we'll present Ghana a blueprint on this 24-hour economy. But thankfully, we have started a conversation that had gotten our friends on the MPP on board. Let's continue for the good of this country. And I can assure you that John Mahama is determined. In fact, if this will be the only legacy that he will leave, he is determined to do that. And I would encourage my brother, Dr. Kabiru, a good friend of mine, that at this point, let's now begin to have a conversation on how we will fine-tune it and make it better. And on any day, Doc, I'll rely on your expertise. On any day, I am not the type that will say no because he's an MPP person. No. We'll bring. Look, when we did Senchi, we brought everybody on board because we don't want this. We want a solution that reflects Ghana and all the shades of political views, and that is what we are determined to do. And on a few of the matters that he raised by way of critique, you see,
as you wrap up,
yes,
because our time is up.
Absolutely. My brother says, sloganeering and others. Sloganeering. It's never the question of sloganeering. Look, in Ghana, we had dams. But you came out with one village, one dam, correct? And in fact, you are from the north. And I appreciate the northern conversation. There are so many dams, Tamne and the rest. But you still came out with a policy on one village, one dam. There were factories in this country before you came to power. But you say one district, one factory. I mean, so what are we talking about?
Okay, hold on for me, Edudzi. Finally, Dr. Kabiru.
Yeah, so for me, I would think that in the coming days, we would expect to have a full, more information on the policy, and we would ask questions on the policies and the MPP's alternative to that policy. Because this is the only way we can hone this argument to make it much more constructive and make it much more issue-based. And I think that my boss did not rush in this case, because when you present a policy as it was presented, the only conclusion that a rational person will make, an economist for that matter will make, is that it is not. It doesn't make sense.
The economy
and let me tell you the reason why I thought that. Even me, when it was announced, I thought it didn't make sense, because one, common law of economics, Keynes law tells that demand creates its own supply. That is common trial learning. Just like they have trial learning in law. It's trial learning in economics that demand creates its own supply. Okay, so the fact that there's a demand for something, people will find a way of doing it so that they can meet the supply. Because your aim is to maximize profit. Okay. Second,
before iPhone was created, was there demand?
Second reason that we thought it did not make sense, the vice president think this thing did not make sense, is that why will you say you want to legislate such a thing when you are running?
Said legislate.
You say you want
Dog. I know you to be a very honest person.
Hold on.
John Maham never. No, I mean for the record.
Okay, so you've made that record.
John Maham never said you will legislate.
Yes, go ahead.
We're saying that.
So maybe would you want to withdraw that?
We want to have a policy on it.
Yes.
And the policy suggests that we have to have a national character of such an initiative.
Yes.
We're saying that people raise issue that such a thing cannot be put into a law.
No, he said policy, sign on to it.
Yes, and he then came and explained that it's going to be a voluntary process.
Dr. Mahama, that's what time would allow us. Thank you very much, Dr. Kabiru Mahama, who's
we are grateful for the platform.
Yes, and thank you also, Edudzi Tamakloe.